My husband kept a secret child. He didn't know I'd met the child. Have you ever looked into a child's eyes and felt a connection so deep it made no sense, until the truth shattered everything? I thought I knew my husband. I thought I knew our life, routines, our shared dreams. We had been married for 10 years. No secrets, or so I believed. But then, one rainy afternoon at a quiet cafe, I met a little boy named Max, sweet, curious, with eyes so familiar they made my chest ache. I didn't know why at the time, but something about him stayed with me. He wasn't mine, but he should have been. He unknowingly opened a door I didn't even know existed, a door that led to the one thing I never expected, a hidden truth buried so deep, it took a child to bring it into the light. And the moment I realized who he really was, changed my marriage, my heart, and my future. But before I found out who that child really was, let me take you back to the moment the first cracks began to show in my perfect little world. And trust me, this story only gets deeper from here. Stay with me. Broken Heart Part 1. The Strange Connection. Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm 35 years old, and up until recently, I thought I had the kind of life people envy. Quiet, loving, and secure. I've been married to my husband, Ethan, for 10 years. We met in college, fell in love fast, and built a life together slowly. Sunday brunches, movie nights, even the boring grocery runs. I cherished it all. I thought we were a team. I thought we shared everything. Until a rainy Tuesday changed everything. It was the kind of afternoon that feels like the world is holding its breath. The sky was gray, the streets slick with rain, and I had just finished running errands when I decided to stop by my favorite little cafe for tea. It's one of those cozy places with chipped mugs and soft jazz playing low in the background, the kind of place that knows your order before you even say it. As I waited by the window for my drink, I noticed a little boy sitting 2 tables away with a woman, maybe mid-30s, worn cardigan, gentle eyes. I assumed she was his mother or aunt. The boy was drawing on a napkin with crayons, humming to himself. At one point, he dropped his green crayon, and it rolled under my chair. I bent down to grab it and handed it back. "Thank you," he said with a shy smile. "I'm Max." "Nice to meet you, Max," I replied, smiling. "I like your drawing." "It's a rocket ship," he said proudly. "Going to a secret planet." There was something about him, something in the way he spoke, in how thoughtful he was. He reminded me of someone, though I couldn't place who. Maybe a younger cousin. Maybe a friend's child. I didn't know, but it lingered. We chatted for a few minutes while his aunt paid for their drinks. He told me he likes space, penguins, and chocolate milk. I laughed when he said he thought rainy days made the world smell better. And for some reason I felt connected to him. Like I'd met him before, even though I knew I hadn't. Then his guardian, his aunt as it turned out, came over. She thanked me for keeping Max company and smiled at him affectionately. Before they left, she said something that stayed with me. "He's a sweet boy. Just wishes his dad were around more. But you know, life doesn't always go as planned." She said it so casually, like it was an old story. I didn't ask questions. I just nodded politely and watched them walk out into the rain. But as I sat there sipping my tea, I couldn't shake this strange feeling. Something about Max was unsettling in the gentlest way. I told myself I was overthinking. Just a kid. Just a coincidence. But still, he stayed in my thoughts all afternoon. Eyes. Smile. Even the way he held his crayon. It was all strangely familiar. Have you ever had a moment like that? Where your gut whispers something your mind can't explain yet? Speaking head, if you've ever ignored that instinct and later wished you hadn't, share your story below. I'd love to hear it. Because what I didn't know then was that Max had unknowingly opened the door to a truth I was never meant to find. And it wasn't until I spotted the drawing Max left behind on the cafe table that everything started to shift. What came next? Honestly, it still gives me chills. Stay with me. Part 2. The clues he left behind. It started with a crayon drawing. That night, after Max and his aunt had left the cafe, I stayed a little longer, sipping the last of my now cold tea. I don't know why. Maybe I wasn't ready to go home, or maybe I just needed to sit with the strange feeling Max had left behind. Then I spotted it. Tucked between the sugar packets and napkin holder was a folded sheet of paper, half crumpled, stained slightly at the corner. I opened it and my heart stopped. Child sketch. Little boy, clearly Max. A woman beside him with curly hair, probably his aunt. And then a man. A tall figure with a scruffy beard, strong shoulders, and the same tousled hair that Ethan always had when he rolled out of bed late on Sundays. I stared at that stick figure family, frozen. Could have been coincidence. Kids draw dads all the time. But this one, it looked familiar. Too familiar. I shoved the paper into my purse and told myself I was overthinking. But that night, curiosity got the best of me. While we were making dinner, I asked Ethan casually, "Have you ever thought about what it'd be like to have kids?" He blinked like I'd startled him. "You know I'm not the parenting type," he said, forcing a chuckle. "Why? Are you having baby fever or something?" I smiled and shrugged. "Just wondering." But in my gut, I knew something was off. His voice was too light. His eyes a little too quick to look away. It wasn't just a man who didn't want kids. It was a man dodging something. Over the next week, things I'd never noticed before started standing out like warning lights. There were calls he took outside, even when it was freezing. Appointments that didn't match his calendar. Vague stories about late meetings. And each time I asked about them, he'd brush it off with a kiss and say, "Work stuff, Liv. Nothing interesting." But I wasn't so sure anymore. So I went back to the cafe. Max wasn't there that day, but his aunt was. I ordered a tea, sat near her, and eventually struck up a conversation. She was kind, open-hearted. When I mentioned I had met Max, her face lit up. "He's a good kid," she said. "It's been hard since his mom passed. Just me looking after him now." I gently asked, "Do you mind if I ask his last name?" "Maxwell Carter," she said with a soft smile. "His mom gave him her last name. Well, his dad's really. But he's not in the picture." Carter. That one word echoed like a bell in my head. Carter was Ethan's last name. His real one. The one he had before we got married, and he legally changed it to Cole. He said it was to make a fresh start. I never questioned it. Till now. I thanked her, smiled, and left the cafe, my heart hammering in my chest. I sat in the car gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. Everything started clicking into place. His strange behavior, the familiar eyes, the drawing. So now I have to ask you, what would you do if every breadcrumb led back to someone you loved? Would you confront them right away, or wait for them to tell the truth themselves? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious how others would have handled it. That night, I waited for Ethan to come home. I was done with guessing, done with waiting, because the truth was knocking, and it was time to open the door. Collision Part 3. The secret comes out. Have you ever watched someone you love crumble under a truth they never wanted to say out loud? That night, I sat across from Ethan at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd once dreamed about vacations, birthdays, our future. Only this time, I wasn't looking at my husband. I was looking at a stranger wearing his face. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just said one sentence. "Do you know a little boy named Maxwell Carter?" The second the name left my lips, something shifted. Ethan blinked. His shoulders tensed. His fork hit the plate, and for a few seconds, the only sound in the room was the slow, uneven rhythm of his breathing. Then he went pale. Visibly. Like someone had turned off the light behind his eyes. He didn't ask how I knew. He didn't pretend not to recognize the name. He just said, "It's not what you think." That sentence. Why is it always that sentence? He started slow. Said Max was his son, from a relationship long before we met. Said the mother had never wanted him involved. That he respected her wishes. At first. And when she passed, he didn't know how to tell me. Didn't know how to insert a whole child into our life. "You were happy," he said. I didn't want to ruin that. My heart cracked in places I didn't even know could break. Not because he had a past, not even because he had a child, but because he had carried this secret for years. Through every anniversary, every shared milestone. Through nights we laid in bed whispering about life and trust. Through moments I thought we were fully honest. He was still hiding a son. I felt the betrayal settle over me like a second skin. Not loud, not explosive, just heavy, quiet. He reached for my hand. Olivia, I was going to tell you. I just didn't know when. Or how. But here's the thing about trust. It's not just about the big moments. It's about the tiny ones he chose to let pass without truth. That's what broke me. Speaking head, so let me ask you. Have you ever been lied to by someone you trusted with your whole heart? How did you even begin to forgive? Or move forward? Share your story in the comments. I truly want to hear how others find their strength in moments like this. I sat there that night for a long time just listening to him. I didn't scream. I didn't storm out. I didn't make any dramatic declarations. Instead, I told him something that surprised even me. I need time. And I need to see Max. Again. This time not as a stranger, but as the boy who unknowingly showed me the truth. Because for all the pain Ethan had caused, there was still an innocent child at the center of this story. A boy who had looked at me like I mattered, and who, somehow, already had a piece of my heart. Direct hit, and so I made a choice. Not for Ethan, but for myself, for Max, for the truth. Stay with me, because what happened when I saw Max again will stay with me for the rest of my life. Revolving Hearts Part 4, The Child, the Choice. Have you ever stood in front of a child, knowing they didn't ask to be part of your pain, but still somehow holding the power to heal it? That's what it felt like walking back into that little cafe. The same corner table. The same sunlight filtering through the windows. But this time, I wasn't just a stranger meeting a sweet boy with kind eyes. I was meeting my husband's son. Max didn't remember me at first. He just gave me that same wide-eyed smile and asked if I wanted to help him finish his drawing. Said yes. And for the next hour we colored together. We talked about dinosaurs, pancakes, and how he wanted to be a storm chaser when he grew up. And you know what? I saw Ethan in him. Not in the painful way I thought I might. But in the way Max tilted his head when he was thinking. The way he made sure I got the blue crayon first. The way he laughed, and it filled the room like sunshine. Max was beautiful, innocent, and completely unaware of the storm that had brought me to him. At one point he looked up and asked, "Are you friends with my dad?" I swallowed hard. "Something like that," I said with a smile. "I think we're still figuring it out." Because the truth is, I was still figuring everything out. Later that night I sat with Ethan again. This time the weight in the room was different. Less rage. More ache. More reality. "I met Max again," I told him. Ethan was silent. "I don't hate you," I said softly. "But I don't know how to trust you yet. What you did. It broke something." He nodded. "I know. But Max, he didn't choose this. And neither did I. So now we have to choose what happens next." That night we agreed to counseling, for our marriage, for ourselves, and eventually, when the time was right, for Max too. Not because we had it all figured out, but because something real was still worth saving. If not the marriage, then at least the truth. The family, whatever shape it would take from here. Because here's the thing I've learned. Speaking head secrets don't always destroy you. Sometimes it's the silence after them that does. But facing that silence, that's where healing can begin. Max didn't ask to be part of my life. But now that he was, I chose to let him stay. I didn't choose the lie. But I could choose what to do with the truth. Speaking head, and now I want to ask you. What would you have done? Could you open your heart to a child born from a lie? Could you rebuild something honest from the pieces left behind? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every word, and you never know who your story might help feel less alone. Speech balloon, and if this moment touched you, please like, share, or subscribe to my family tragedy. We tell emotional stories every day that speak to the heart. Direct hit because sometimes love isn't about what we expect, it's about what we choose to build. When everything breaks. And this was my choice. I never imagined that a quiet moment with a stranger's child would lead me to the deepest truth of my marriage. Max wasn't part of my plan, but somehow he became part of my healing. Forgiveness is hard. Trust even harder. But love makes it possible. What about you? Have you ever had to choose between anger and compassion? Between walking away or rewriting your story? Share your thoughts in the comments. I truly read everyone. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe to My Family Tragedy. We share heartfelt stories every day. You might be next.